When people talk about buying or selling real estate, they often describe it as a journey. Today, I want to make that metaphor a little more precise. Think of the process as climbing a mountain. The summit represents a successful closing, ownership transferred, goals achieved, and the transaction completed. But just like a real climb, there isn't only one way to reach the top. Some climbers go solo, carrying everything themselves. Others travel with a guide who supports them along the way. And some choose a fully supported expedition where the professionals handle nearly every step. The important question isn't simply whether you climb the mountain. The question is, how do you want to climb it? I am Steve Colino, and this is Confidential Remarks. No matter how someone chooses to buy or sell a home, the terrain of the journey remains the same. Every transaction involves the same mountain. Along the way, there are unavoidable challenges. There's market analysis, understanding pricing and competition. There are complex contracts that require careful interpretation. There's negotiation, where strategy and timing matter. And there's emotional pressure, which often intensifies as the stakes rise. These obstacles don't disappear depending on the service you choose. What changes is how much of the weight you carry yourself, and how much help you bring along for the climb. If the summit is the same for everyone, the real choice becomes which route you take to reach it. There are three primary paths. The first is the solo route, where technology and digital tools allow consumers to manage the process largely on their own. The second is guided support, where you still lead the journey, but a professional advisor helps at critical moments, providing expertise when the decisions become more complex. And the third is the full expedition, where a professional team manages the climb from start to finish, allowing you to focus primarily on the final decisions. Each route reaches the same destination. What differs is the balance between effort, cost, and support. The first path is the solo route, often powered by modern technology. In this model, the consumer essentially climbs the mountain alone. They research pricing, coordinate showings, manage inquiries, and navigate contracts independently. Today's digital tools make this far more possible than it once was. Automated valuations, listing platforms, and online transaction management systems act like a GPS for the journey. They reduce friction and give consumers access to information that used to be available only to professionals. But even with strong tools, the responsibility still rests largely with the individual making the climb. The solo route tends to attract a very specific type of consumer. This is the efficiency-focused trailblazer, someone who values control, autonomy, and the ability to maximize financial outcomes. They're comfortable navigating digital tools, analyzing data, and managing details themselves. Typically, they're willing to invest their own time and effort in exchange for saving money on service costs. The trade-off becomes clear. The solo route often means lower cost, but it also requires higher effort and personal responsibility throughout the process. The second route is guided support. Here, the consumer still hikes the mountain themselves, but a guide walks beside them. The consumer retains control of the pace and the major decisions, but they have expert advice available when the path becomes uncertain. This model often involves consultation on pricing strategy, negotiation coaching, and professional contract review. It's a balanced approach. You remain actively involved in the process, but you gain a layer of expertise that helps reduce the risk of costly mistakes. The guided support model typically attracts what we might call the strategic collaborator. These consumers want to understand and participate in the process, but they recognize the value of professional insight. They're comfortable doing some of the work themselves, yet they don't want to risk missing something critical, especially when it comes to valuation, negotiation, or legal documentation. For them, the balance works well. Moderate cost, shared responsibility, and a collaborative approach to the transaction. The third route is the full expedition. In this model, a professional guide team handles the majority of the climb, from planning the route to coordinating every stage of the journey. Marketing, scheduling, negotiations, paperwork, and emotional management are all part of the service. The consumer remains involved in the most important decisions, but the operational burden is largely handled by the professionals leading the expedition. This approach prioritizes convenience, expertise, and risk management over personal control of the day-to-day process. The full expedition typically appeals to the delegator. This is someone who values their time more than the complexity of the process itself. They want a smooth experience, minimal stress, and confidence that experts are managing the details correctly. Busy professionals, luxury market participants, and individuals who prefer a concierge-style experience often fall into this category. The trade-off is simple: the highest cost, but the lowest personal effort. When we place these three routes side by side, a clear pattern emerges. The solo route offers the highest level of control and the lowest financial cost, but it also carries the highest personal effort and the greatest risk of mistakes. Guided support creates a middle ground, balancing moderate cost with shared control and reduced risk. And the full expedition shifts the balance toward convenience, higher cost, but far less effort, and the lowest exposure to error. The key takeaway is simple: there is no free lunch. You either invest money or you invest time and energy. Technology plays an important role in every path, but it's important to understand how it functions. In the solo route, technology often replaces many traditional services. Automation and digital platforms become the primary engine driving the transaction. In the guided and full-service models, technology doesn't replace professionals. It amplifies them. Advanced analytics, market data tools, and transaction platforms help professionals provide more informed guidance and faster execution. So the real decision isn't about whether technology will be involved. It's about whether you want to drive the machine yourself or hire an experienced pilot. Each route has its own potential danger point. For the solo route, the biggest risk is the blind spot: missing a legal contingency, mispricing the property, or allowing emotion to override strategy. For guided support, the risk lies in the gap: uncertainty about where the advisor's responsibility ends and the consumer's begins. And for the full expedition, the primary risk is financial: the higher cost of service, which may reduce net proceeds or purchasing power. Understanding these risks helps ensure the route you choose aligns with your priorities. Choosing the right route ultimately comes down to a few key questions. Do you have the time to manage inquiries, scheduling, and logistics yourself? Are you comfortable negotiating face-to-face in high-stakes conversations? And how important is maximizing equity compared to having a smooth, low-stress experience? Your answers to those questions will naturally point you toward one of the three paths: solo route, guided support, or full expedition. The compass simply helps align the service model with your personal comfort level and available resources. At the end of the day, there is no universally right path to the summit. A solo climb can be incredibly rewarding for someone who enjoys control and preparation. A full expedition can be invaluable for someone who prioritizes efficiency and peace of mind. What matters most is alignment: choosing the route that fits your life stage, your expertise, and the resources you're willing to commit to the journey. Regardless of which path you choose, the destination remains the same. Whether you carried the pack yourself, walked beside a guide, or joined a fully supported expedition, the reward at the summit is a successful closing. The real victory isn't how you climbed. It's reaching the top in a way that felt right for you. This has been Confidential Remarks.